That's right. There is so much good news, so much winning out of the Trump White House right now that the mainstream legacy media can't keep up with it.
Just when you thought the circus had packed up, boom, Karoline Leavitt hits again. Filing yet another lawsuit against The View now, ABC is in full-blown panic mode. Whoopi's sweating, Joy Behar's fuming, and believe it or not, Sunny Hostin is actually silent for once. But this isn't just another viral squabble. Oh no, this is lawsuit number 2, an all-out legal missile aimed directly at the network, and it's landing with force. Inside sources say chaos is unfolding behind the scenes, emergency meetings, sponsors pulling out, and executives calling it a reputational disaster of epic proportions. So, what did Karoline drop this time? What in one court filing managed to send ABC's media empire into a tailspin? Oh, you're going to want every juicy detail. But before we dive into this legal train wreck, smash that like button if you're done with media hypocrisy. Hit subscribe for more truth bombs the mainstream won't touch. And share this with someone who still thinks The View is just feel-good daytime fluff. Already subscribed? Perfect. Buckle up, because 72 hours ago, The View aired another episode. And you'd think, after getting slapped with an $800 million lawsuit, they'd lay low. But nope, they doubled down. Let's roll the tape. Whoopi Goldberg lawyering up should have been a massive red flag, a flashing warning sign you couldn't ignore. You'd think the hosts would tread carefully, maybe dial it down a notch, issue a PR apology, or at least pretend to play nice. But nope. Instead of backing off, The View hit the gas, diving headfirst into chaos live on air in front of millions. They mocked Karoline again. Shamelessly, cluelessly, relentlessly, Joy Behar, never one to shy away from a roast, fired the first. Shot Trump's Gen Z talking head. The audience erupted in laughter. The panel nodded like it was gospel. Then Sunny Hostin picked up the baton like it was a relay race, calling the lawsuit a choreographed GOP stunt. And then, Whoopi, the epicenter of this entire legal firestorm, the same Whoopi whose teary courtroom clip just went viral. She smiles, adjusts her glasses, and drops the line that sends Karoline's legal team into full throttle mode. She's lucky we even let her on the show cue applause. Cue smug grins, cue the panel basking in their own bravado. But what they didn't cue was the legal avalanche already gathering speed. While the audience ate it up and producers saw viral gold, Karoline's legal team saw a treasure trove of evidence. They didn't just blur the legal line, they pole vaulted over it. Every jab, every snide smirk was now legal dynamite. Within hours, her team was dissecting the footage, scrubbing audio, transcribing every word, matching it against timelines already submitted to the court. That broadcast? It's now a roadmap. Every frame, a breadcrumb leading straight to lawsuit. Number 2. And let's be crystal clear, this isn't just media drama anymore. It's about to get judicial. This wasn't about bruised egos, it was about sending a clear message. Even with a lawsuit looming over their heads, the hosts of The View didn't just double down, they tripled down. Boldly, arrogantly, recklessly. And then came the thunder. A second lawsuit dropped like a gavel from the heavens. This wasn't a follow-up, it was a strategic strike. Backed by a powerhouse legal team and a mountain of damning evidence, Karoline Leavitt wasn't just defending herself anymore, she was going on the offense. And this time, she brought the heat. The core of the new complaint? Retaliatory defamation. Translation: instead of backing down, The View mocked, taunted, and attacked. The lawsuit breaks it down with surgical precision. These weren't slip-ups or hot takes. These were deliberate, calculated strikes aimed at destroying her character. The charges? Malicious repetition of defamatory claims, retaliation during litigation, intent to intimidate, reckless falsehoods, career sabotage, and long-term reputational damage. And it's not just empty words, the filing is backed with solid legal precedent. One media law expert cited in the complaint didn't pull any punches. The View's defense is so weak, they'd be better off skipping the trial and just asking Karoline where to wire the settlement. Ouch. But it doesn't stop there. Karoline's team brought in commentary from media ethicists, legal scholars, and even a former federal judge. The consensus? The show's behavior wasn't just risky, it was staggeringly ill-advised for a group already sinking in legal quicksand. Now, the whispers in Hollywood are growing louder. This could be Whoopi's final season, and at ABC, the crisis has gone. Full scale. Legal alarms are blaring, PR teams are sinking, advertisers are pulling out. And what they thought was the worst, the first lawsuit now looks like the eye of the storm. Because Karoline's second wave has hit, and the flood is rising. Fast.
Joy Behar calls her a 10. I mean, how dare she objectify a woman with a rating system, but it's such a typical thing from a 1.5.
Well said.
The halls of ABC aren't just buzzing, they're on fire. According to multiple insiders, The View's studio has transformed into an emotional war zone. And the twist? It's not Karoline Leavitt who's stoking the flames. It's the very hosts who mocked her on national television, now standing amidst the wreckage of their own making, watching their empire crumble from within. Here's how it all fell apart. Within 48 hours of Karoline's second lawsuit, the backstage atmosphere didn't just shift, it exploded. This wasn't idle gossip. This wasn't simple tension. This was chaos. Producers, those typically calm, clipboard-wielding pros, are reportedly furious. But not at Karoline, not at the legal team. At the Talent One, longtime producer allegedly lost it during a post-show rundown, slamming a folder onto the table and shouting, "This is what happens when no one listens." Staffers described the mood as suffocating, not just tense, but physically oppressive. It felt like the studio walls were bracing for impact. And who could blame them? This wasn't just one lawsuit anymore. It was two, each threatening ABC's credibility, its ad revenue, and the trust of its viewers. Then came the bombshell. A leaked internal memo, confirmed by two separate sources, has become the talk of every whispered hallway conversation and encrypted Slack message. It read, "In plain damning language, we asked the panel to avoid inflammatory comments on this case." They didn't listen. There it is. The collapse, captured in a single line. ABC didn't just stumble into this firestorm, they saw the warning signs, and still, they walked straight into the blaze. ABC issued the warning, but still, Joy cracked jokes, Sunny brushed it off, and Whoopi smirked her way into a full-blown legal nightmare. Now the network is scrambling in full emergency mode. Sponsors are pulling out. Legal teams are demanding updates every hour. Producers are combing through transcripts, emails, and show footage like they're preparing for a criminal trial, and the atmosphere on set? Frosty. One weary staffer, speaking anonymously, didn't hold back. "We used to joke about lawsuits. Now we're Googling severance packages." And no, that's not paranoia. Insiders confirm that ABC has slammed the brakes on almost everything. Budgets are frozen, new segments are canceled, a major promo campaign for The View shelved indefinitely. Security around the studio has doubled, but not because of physical threats, it's because public backlash is spreading like wildfire. Angry emails, protest tweets, callers flooding the switchboard, demanding terminations. Even The View's most loyal fans, the ones who once defended every hot take, every controversial moment, are now speaking out. One viral comment captured the mood perfectly. "This show used to be about truth. Now it's about tearing down anyone who disagrees." Petitions are circulating. Calls for the resignations of Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, and Sunny Hostin are gaining real momentum. And behind closed doors, ABC's board is said to be reviewing talent contracts line by line. The storm isn't just on the horizon, it's already here. It's the most unsettling move in the media playbook: silence. While The View unravels on live television and chaos consumes ABC, Karoline Leavitt has said nothing. No press tours, no tweets, no media appearances. She's playing the quietest and most devastating card in the media war: strategic silence. And right now, her silence is louder than any headline. In a world where outrage is currency and noise is power, Karoline's calm is deafening. While the show that mocked her falls apart in real time, she stands apart, composed and deliberate, watching the fallout unfold. And it's beginning to look like she's just getting started. For years, mainstream networks have buried stories that didn't align with their agenda. Silence has often been their shield, but not this time. The Karoline Leavitt versus The View legal inferno is too viral, too public, and too damning to be swept under the rug. This isn't just celebrity drama. It's two federal lawsuits filed just weeks apart, aimed squarely at the same show, supported by hard evidence and serious legal firepower. The fallout? Earth-shaking. This is shaking the very foundations of daytime TV, testing the ethics of live journalism, and challenging the limits of what media figures can get away with under the guise of commentary. Even outlets that typically shield the view or steer clear of anything remotely connected to conservative voices are being dragged into the mess. Why? Because the facts are irrefutable, because the backlash is unrelenting, because the internet isn't letting this one fade away. Now, legacy media is being forced into the spotlight whether they want to be or not. Reporters at MSNBC, CNN, and even the New York Times are quietly reaching out to media lawyers, reviewing the legal filings and scrambling for context, trying to get ahead of a story they can no longer contain. This isn't just a scandal. It's a reckoning. A battle over defamation law, the abuse of platform power, and the future of free speech in an age where every word and every silence carries consequences. Hot take: 1 person, 2 lawsuits, 1 show. That's rare. But what makes this historic isn't just the lawsuits, it's the calculated escalation. Karoline Leavitt filed her second suit while the first was still active after being publicly defamed yet again. That's not just bold. It's a legal powder keg. Media law experts are calling this case a potential game changer. And it's not just for daytime talk shows. We're talking YouTubers, Twitch streamers, podcasters, influencers. Anyone with a microphone and a following could feel the aftershocks. Because if Karoline wins, the bar for what counts as reckless disregard for the truth in the digital age, it just dropped dramatically. Meanwhile, Twitter has become a battleground. Hashtags like Karoline Strikes Back, Sue the View, Media Accountability, Justice for Karoline, and Defend the Truth have dominated political discourse for days. TikTokers are resurfacing old The View clips, stitching together scenes of Joy, Whoopi, and Sunny with real-time legal breakdowns. YouTubers are hosting live streams with attorneys, PR experts, and political commentators tearing apart court filings and analyzing every word that aired. And here's the twist: left-leaning voices are starting to crack. A prominent MSNBC analyst, known for defending progressive media, went viral this week with a post reading Karoline may be controversial, but she's calling out a media problem we've ignored for too long. Thousands of retweets, tens of thousands of likes. A flood of uncomfortable questions now flooding public discourse because the elephant in the newsroom is too big to ignore. For years, The View and shows like it have operated within a media bubble. Personal attacks, political jabs, and loaded rhetoric were thrown around under the safety of applause, soft interviews, and glowing press coverage. But Karoline Leavitt just punctured that bubble. And now, for the first time, the spotlight isn't on the people in front of the mic, it's on the people behind them. Because this lawsuit, it's not just about Karoline. It's about media ethics. It's about the blurry line between opinion and defamation. It's about the unchecked power of massive platforms. And now that the media has been forced to look at its own reflection, it's clear. The image staring back is far uglier than anyone expected.
So it is the belief of this White House and the White House counsel's office that the president was within his executive authority to do that. He is the executive of the executive branch, and therefore he has the power to fire anyone within the executive branch that he wishes to. There's also a case that went before the Supreme Court in 2020, Scala Law LLC versus the Customs, Bureau Protection. I would advise you to look at that case, and that's the legality that this White House was wrestling on.
Now, ABC is facing the nightmare scenario they never imagined. Keep the view or cut it loose. Inside the network's headquarters, panic has solidified into paralysis. Multiple insider leaks confirm that ABC executives are locked in endless emergency meetings, struggling to decide on a course of action that could reshape their entire legacy. They're trapped between 3 brutal choices. First, suspend Whoopi, Joy, and Sunny temporarily. A surface-level PR move designed to show responsibility without dismantling the franchise, but critics argue it's far too little, far too late. Second, settle both lawsuits privately. This means massive payouts, forced public apologies, on air, retractions, and scrambling to stop the hemorrhage of sponsors. Expensive, humiliating, and not guaranteed to work. Third, pull the plug. Cancel The View outright. Rebrand the time slot, the nuclear option. And insiders say it's quickly gaining traction because the damage may already be irreversible. Why the urgency? Because the bleeding won't stop. ABC's ad sales team is reportedly in freefall as sponsors are fleeing at lightning speed. One insider claims a 7-figure contract vanished within a single day after the second lawsuit was filed. Another. Major brand released a statement saying, "We will not associate with programming under active defamation litigation. Audience trust?" Vanishing. Social sentiment? Flipped. The same fans who once cheered for the show's spicy takes are now demanding accountability. And legal analysts are sounding the alarm. Act fast, or you'll be locked in courtroom battles for years. ABC once thought it was untouchable, that talk shows were immune from consequences. But Karoline Leavitt just proved them wrong. She showed that even the giants can fall. That accountability has a price. So now the question is yours. Did Karoline Leavitt just rewrite the rules of media responsibility for the second time in 1 month? Is this the moment legacy media finally loses its unchecked grip? Should ABC pull the plug before The View drags the whole network down with it? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm watching closely, because this story, it's bigger than Karoline. It's about every person who's ever been mocked, dismissed, or shouted over by a media machine drunk on its own power. And now, that machine is faltering, glitching, cracking, collapsing. Because Karoline didn't just clap back, she returned with receipts, legal firepower, and unmatched precision.
While I vow to provide the truth from this podium, we ask that all of you in this room hold yourselves to that same standard. We know for a fact there have been lies that have been pushed by many legacy media outlets in this country about this president, about his family, and we will not accept that. We will call you out when we feel that your reporting is wrong or there is misinformation about this White House.
So, what did The View do? They laughed. They mocked. They rolled their eyes. And now, they're scrambling, patching things up with half-hearted apologies and desperate PR spins, hoping the storm will blow over with a quick shrug and a segment. Change, but Karoline? She's not flinching. No interviews, no press tours, no self-pity. She's letting the facts speak for themselves. And those facts? They're shaking the foundation. Before you scroll past, ask yourself, if one woman, a young conservative with no corporate shield, no massive media machine backing her, can take down a billion-dollar empire twice, what does that say about the fragility of the media's glass castle? And what does it say about where the true power is shifting? That's why this moment matters. Not just for Karoline, not just for Whoopi, but for everyone on the sidelines, quietly wondering if this might just be the beginning of a media reset. A new chapter where truth finally fights back. So here's your final call to action. Smash that like button if you're done with hypocrisy, bullying, and elitist media bubbles. Subscribe now if you want to stay ahead of the narratives they're scrambling to hide. Share this with someone who still thinks The View is just lighthearted daytime fluff, because it's clear now. This show has transformed into a legal grenade wrapped in studio lighting, and above all, don't look away. Because this is no longer just about one lawsuit. It's a full-blown battle for narrative control. And Karoline Leavitt? She's not just holding the line, she's rewriting the script. Stay locked in. Subscribe now. The next bombshell is coming. And if The View thought this was over, they're in for a brutal wake-up call.